All right, minions, we need your help with the auto. Let us know if things are quiet or not. I'm going to do a check, check, check. Justin.
Check, check, check.
And Blair.
That's a check. 1, 2, 3.
We just need a thumbs up from the chat room and we're all good. Nobody. Hi, I just see a hi. Dale
That's not helpful.
We all sound very nice.
We all sound very nice. See, perfect.
Identity
Audio
That's what we
just
need.
fine.
Okay, 3, 2. This is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number 604, recorded on Wednesday, February 1st, 2017. Get out your Pom Poms. Hey everyone, I am Dr. Kiki, and tonight on This Week in Science, we are going to fill your head with a little bit of cheerleading, an insect love hormone, and curiosity. But first,
disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. As we watch government leadership roles be replaced by new individuals, we must keep certain things in mind. Knowledge in medicine cannot be replaced with a spoonful of sugar without expecting a different result. Just as an antidote for a poisonous snake bite cannot be successfully substituted with a snarky anecdote. And as everyone listening already knows, you can't substitute science with anything that isn't science. And that's why, no matter the policies or politics of the day, we won't substitute the contents of this show with anything else. We will always bring you This Week in Science. Coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind I can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
Good science to you, Kiki and Blair.
and good science to you, Justin, Blair, and everyone out there. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Science. We're back yet again with another fabulous week of science stories to discuss, to debate, to opinionate about.
That's my favorite pastime, opinionating.
Opinionating, to be curious about, to ask questions about, maybe to use as launch pads for more science and knowledge. I love it. Yes. All right. On this week's show, I have some news stories about what ants have to do with pregnancy, the benefits of curiosity, and a bat bot.
Oh, Batbot.
Batbot.
Awesome.
What
Sounds
do you
like
have?
a great week in science.
Yeah, what do you have, Justin?
I've got a Devil's Gate, a vanishing civilization, and an ancient artist.
I like old art. It's good. I've been to museums. They put old art up on the walls. Blair, what did you bring for the animal corner?
I brought cheerleading champion crustaceans, raging ravaging rodents, and sparkling spectacular spiders.
And jazz hands. For those of you listening to the podcast, she has jazz hands right now. It's true. Okay. You ready to dig in? You guys ready?
Good. Yeah.
So something we've talked about on this show a lot, but we haven't really been able to dig into it, is because it's a controversial issue. Mixing human cells with the cells of other animals, right? Creating human other animal chimeras, right? Justin, why on earth would this be controversial?
It's unnatural.
No, because the future would be filled with human hybrid pigmen who would be doing the
Right.
bidding of some scientific overlord and creating armies of cloned human pigs.
Yeah, man, bear, pig.
Right.
Yep.
Man, bear, pig.
Man,
Mhm.
bear, pig.
Monkey
right.
cats as pets. It would just be, the future would just be terrible.
The audacity of man. It's a sin against nature.
Well, not so much.
Are
but
we playing God?
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't that what we do here? Isn't that what we do? No. Actually, chimeras involving human cells have passed review, and researchers are currently working to create these types of hybrids and have been successful. In a new study released in Cell this week, researchers have been able to combine the cells of rats and mice, rats and pigs, and humans and pigs. Yes. So, why on earth would we want to do this? Well, one of the big ideas here is that wouldn't it be amazing if we could grow human organs for transplant in other animals? So, say we need a liver or a pancreas or a heart. Why use a pig heart when
Mhm.
you could use a human heart growing in a pig,
Mhm.
or a human pancreas growing in a pig, or in some other related animal, right? So, this is what these researchers have been working on. And what they were able to do is they took cells, naive pluripotent stem cells from rats, and they created mouse embryos into which they CRISPRized them. They took out certain parts. They let these embryos develop to a particular stage, and they then CRISPRed them and took out genes responsible for developments of, say, the pancreas or other very specific organs and tissue types. They injected these naive pluripotent stem cells from the rats, and those stem cells integrated into the embryo of the mouse and led to chimeric mice. So they actually had mice with rat pancreases, mice with rat livers, with these rat organs that were very specifically tailored because they had used CRISPR. Now, caveat here that I want you to pay attention to as we move forward: mice and rats are very closely related. So this chimerism occurred very easily. Second experiment, they took the same, or not the same, but similar. They took samples of these naive pluripotent stem cells from rats and put them into a pig embryo that had the same process done to it with CRISPR. And it resulted in absolutely no chimerism. So there were no rat parts in the pigs that resulted in these.
I was picturing a pig with a really long rat tail and whiskers and like
big teeth.
big teeth. Yeah.
Big teeth. Going squeak oink, squeak oink.
Oh.
Squoink,
Squoink.
squoink,
Squoink.
squoink.
Oh my god.
So it didn't work out. All right. Now,
Too
third experiment.
different. Those species are too different. Like a
That's-
rat and a mouse, very similar. Rat and a pig, too different.
And that's exactly the point here, where
Yeah.
they are very, very different developmental timelines. Very, it takes a lot longer to cook a pig than it does to cook a rat.
Really?
multiple
I would
ways.
think that it would.
So there are different and cells, as we know, we've talked about, the internal clock of cells. There's an internal clock when it comes to the timing of development. And as cells grow and divide, they have a certain timeline for the speed at which this development takes place. So, final experiment, they took human induced pluripotent stem cells. So these were not naive, not taken from an embryo, but actually taken from tissue. So these were cells that had been induced, had a chemical bath to turn them into this pluripotent state of being able to become particular tissue types. They were put into pig embryos that had the CRISPR-Cas9 effect, and it resulted in not as much chimerism as the rat mouse offspring, but it did result in some chimeric interspersion of certain tissues. So like muscle tissues were one of them. And so the point here is that not the human and the pig are not so far distantly related as the rat and the pig, but there's still enough difference that this is going to be a very difficult process to really make work well. They also tried putting together human and cow, and that seemed to work as well. They were able to put humans and cows together, and some of the tissues worked out. However, it's just cheaper, and more pigs are more readily available, and it's cheaper to raise a pig than it is to raise a cow. So they decided to go the route of really doing the full experimentation using pigs.
And eventually they'll figure it out, because I predict that one day a pig-human chimera will, a group of them at least, will go on to guard the palace of Jabba the Hutt.
There is that. Looking at cooking time, as you so put it, Kiki.
Yes.
I was looking at the gestation period. So the gestation period of rats is only about 21 days. Gestation period of a pig is about 115 days. Human gestation is about 280 days. So definitely in terms of percentage rate, they're closer. And then cow, 283 days, so almost exactly the same as humans.
So even though cows are more expensive to rear, it might, and they take up more space, and there are different rearing practices for cows. If we're going to talk about growing human organs in another animal, maybe cow is the path that should be attempted next. But yeah.
So then, though, if you have a human cow chimera and you want to raise organs for transplant in it, can you use the leftover meat as food, or is that ethically an issue?
That's a
Why not?
wow.
Why
Interesting question, but I would say no. But
Do you think there's a scientific reason to say no, or it's just a heebie-jeebie situation?
I would say it depends on what has specifically been targeted with the CRISPR-Cas9 deletion. So if you're going to get rid of the developmental genes for cow muscle, and then it's human muscle growing,
then you're essentially cannibalizing.
Yeah. But researchers say that
now this is sort of reminding me to the what is it, the cafe at the end of the universe?
The restaurant at the end of the universe.
Restaurant at the universe where the meal is like, no, you should really try my flank. It's quite delicious. Like it's giving permission and
I'll give you
suggestions. For which part of it maybe the
wondering is my very first thing I was going to say when you said cows are more expensive and take more space. I was like, well, but you could just use the rest of the. Oh, wait, maybe you can't.
Yeah. So someday they really do think that we are going to be able to do this. Currently, we're not getting very much human cell contribution into these pig embryos. But they're only getting a few human cells, and they're gonna try and get a lot more in there. They're looking for about 0.1 to 1% of the embryo being human cell contribution, and right now they're at like 1/1,000,000th of a pig embryo being human cell contribution. So it's not very big. Something else that was really big this last week also. Japanese researchers from the University of Tokyo reported that they successfully transplanted a mouse pancreas that was generated in a rat back into a mouse, and the mouse pancreas functioned for over a year, which, mouse lifespan, that's pretty much what they're looking at. So these University of Tokyo researchers have reported in Nature the successful cross-species growth and retransplantation So xenodevelopment of the pancreas and then actually being able to put the functioning pancreas back into a rat. So this is a pretty neat thing. The other idea here is that not for specifically human transplantation purposes and organ farming, kind of beyond that even, this is a way that if we look at organ systems, that human organs that we can't really watch while they're developing very easily, because we're not cutting humans apart to find out, what's the pancreas doing at 7 months of age. We don't do that, but potentially we could use this kind of a chimeric system to study the development of human organs over time and over lifespans. So this could be a very rich source of research information about the human body and the human physiology, of which we are not yet aware. Not that we necessarily need to do that, but
Interesting stuff ahead.
very interesting. I love chimeras. So cool. And my second story to start off the show is I just want to frame it around all you people watching and listening to TWIS right now. You are the science curious. And there's a study published in the Journal of Political Psychology on science curiosity and political information processing. It turns out that people who are science curious have a more open-minded engagement with information that is actually contrary to people's political predispositions. And what this means is that people who are scientifically curious, regardless of the end of this political spectrum with which they identify, they are more likely to interact with information that is opposite their views politically. So say climate change. Somebody who is not scientifically curious is more likely to read articles that reinforce their views about the climate change. I'm a climate science. I don't agree with climate science. And somebody who's not scientifically curious is going to read articles that talk about how climate change is not happening. Things that of that nature. And someone who's scientifically curious is more likely to take a look at an article that has a surprising result, that is more likely to oppose those preconceived notions and to potentially change their ideas. And in this study, they had they showed the one thing that really clinched it is this figure where they show solid evidence of global warming given to people from activity, mostly due to human activity like burning fossil fuels. When people have ordinary science intelligence, not really curious about stuff, but they just take their news as they get it, people sway to their end of the political spectrum. Liberal Democrats are probably more likely to agree that global warming is due to human activity, while conservative Republicans who really identify as conservative Republicans are more likely to disagree. Right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Those that are scientifically curious, it brings the ends of the political spectrum closer together. Liberal Democrats are slightly less likely to just 100% agree with the evidence showing that human activity causes global warming. And conservative Republicans are slightly more likely to agree with that evidence. They're not coming right together, but they're bringing it more into balance. And so this is something that in science communication, that what these researchers are working on is how can we figure out more about what explains this effect, right? What explains this effect of scientific curiosity on these outcomes of kind of ameliorating these political identity discrepancies? And if they can figure that out, is there a way to really instill scientific curiosity in people from a very young age?
Mhm.
And so that is what I will leave you with.
Yeah,
Good questions.
I think it's not surprising to hear, because as scientists, you constantly have to assess new data and have open conversations about preconceived notions and sometimes adjust theories. And that's kind of built into the scientific method. So if it's something that you practice, I see the scientific method and appropriate skeptical logic as a muscle that you have to flex. Just like when you're trying to figure out what real news is versus fake news. This is something we're talking about a lot lately. You have to be able to assess where did the study come from? Who funded this study? Did they have a reason to sway results? Was the data size good? Were variables controlled? These are things that, unless you're used to doing those things, I think it's harder to jump right into that and have that play naturally through your brain. So the more that we do it, the better we get at it, and the better we can assess what's really happening.
It's called the curiosity muscle. So everybody get your friends to listen to or watch TWIS to learn how to think, ask questions, and flex that curiosity muscle a little bit more.
So I have a very different read on this.
Mhm.
What I'm looking at when I see that chart is conservatives who read this study are just coming home a bit. Like this is not a historic being, refuting of scientific evidence is not a conservative. It's not a conservative thing you're born with throughout time. There's been a concerted effort through the echo chambers of media within party to sell this message and
But
to
at the
connect it to other things. So when it's not surprising that somebody who's actually reading something outside of the echo chamber moves heavily towards it. Conservative people aren't themselves particularly anti-science. It's that the propaganda around the climate change has been to tie it to also a political thing. So they've been pulled away from seeing these facts in the first place. It's not surprising. It's that.
But the same thing has happened on the liberal end of the spectrum as well. People are more likely to knee-jerk react emotionally to to the evidence that supports their identity. What do they identify with? I'm pro-environment, so I am going to believe that humans are causing this, because then we could maybe do something and change it, right? Versus, it's not, I'm from the conservative perspective, to think of it differently. And in the evidence, they act, it's not just the conservatives coming home to seeing it more. The liberals are actually decreasing their knee-jerk reactivity. The people who are scientifically curious both come more to the middle of being, a little bit more skeptical, or a little bit like having looked at the evidence in a different way. And so having asked questions and come to a different answer than they would politically identify with normally, and allowing it to change their perspective. So it's not just conservative, it is
The graph
liberal.
is pretty
It
conservative.
is liberal as well.
Some of those liberals look like they're just
I'm
oh.
not going to turn this into an argument between conservative and
I'm
liberal.
not
Yeah,
making
and
an
I do
argument
wanna
between them,
say-
but my point was that it's not a traditionally conservative thing to be anti-science. And the fact that, and that graph that you showed, they moved quite a bit more towards that center. And it's, I think, because, once you get beyond the rhetoric, which is very difficult to do these days, most of our country is awash in right-wing radio. There isn't left-wing radio. And throughout it, whether it's a religious or a political or a financial station that you're listening to, they've tied all together. They're all, saying that the science on global warming hasn't been proven yet. And it's ridiculous. So
let's, I
something that was-
want to step away from climate change for 1 second. So this study was done in relation to climate change, right?
It's one aspect. They actually did many, many different experiments and had many different questions to kind of get at this. Climate change was one example.
Right. So there's other science, but there's also just thinking scientifically in general. And there's so much fake news that I think that happens on both sides of the aisle.
And we have reported on, there's a study that showed that even scientifically educated individuals tend to have knee-jerk biased reactions and are prone to following fake news as much, if not more, than people who have less scientific education. So it's not how much knowledge you have. That's not what it's about.
It's about how well you can assess information and that muscle, the muscle of being able to assess and being used to assessing that information and not taking everything that you see at face value.
Yeah, and one really interesting hypothesis they have as an end point of this is they bring up the point that there are many individuals who are able to hold cognitive dualities on the way that they process information, and maybe that is something that's contributing to this political identity versus scientific curiosity and incorporating things. So they use an example where they say farmers, for example, have been observed to use information on climate change to form identity congruent beliefs when they're behaving as citizens, but to form truth convergent ones when they're engaging in the task of farming, where they have an end, succeeding as farmers that can be satisfied only with that form of information processing. And there are similar dynamics observed in relation to evolution. Some individuals disbelieve evolution when participating in activities that feature their identity as members of religious groups that subscribe to creationist strictures, but believe in it when discharging their duties as science-trained professionals. And so this is another really interesting aspect of, is this what's happening in science-curious individuals, those with high science curiosity? Is there some amount of cognitive dualism that can explain what's happening, especially in relation to these political identity kind of issues? But there's a lot there. So hopefully they keep doing these studies, and the links will be up on our website afterwards if you're interested in this topic and interested in taking a look at what they're doing. The overall study is a part of a group who are trying to figure out how best to communicate scientific information to as broad an audience as possible by studying science communication tactics for filmmakers. So it's a really overall very interesting study. This is This Week in Science. Justin, what you got?
Was I supposed to bring something?
Yeah, please.
I totally forgot to bring something. Wait. Wait, I know. From the journal Science Advances comes The Devil's Gate. A cave in a mountainous area close to the far eastern coast of Russia that faces northern Japan. DNA was extracted from an 8,000-year-old human that was found in the cave. A couple of them, actually. And for the first time, DNA from ancient mainland East Asia is compared with the modern populations in the region. Findings indicate no major migratory interruption or population turnover for well over 7,000 years for some of that population. Consequently, though, some of the contemporary ethnic groups there shared a remarkable genetic similarity to Stone Age hunters that once roamed the same region, while others did not. They show that there is, what is the group? I got to go down and find it. The Ulchi. The Ulchi people are the ancient hunter-gatherers, and they're also they're still in existence. there in this sort of
Hmm.
boundary areas between what is Russia, China, and Korea, right? So they sort of have their North Korea. They're sort of in this Amur Basin near these borders. They're pretty much unchanged for thousands and thousands of years. These hunter-gatherers haven't been replaced, deplaced, or had an inordinate amount of sort of mixing with other cultures. There's some support now also for a dual origin theory for modern Japanese populations, that they descend from a combination of hunter-gatherers and agriculturists that eventually brought with them rice farming from southern China. Korea, which is Koreans, I suppose, are very genetically close to the Japanese. This pattern was also found there. They haven't really tracked down this wave of agricultural people that came across and mixed with the hunter-gatherers. So they're still searching for that. They found hundreds of stone and bone tools, carbonized wood from a former dwelling, and woven wild grass. It was one of the earliest examples of textile, where they found the incomplete bodies of 5 humans. Best samples for analysis from Devil's Gate were obtained from the skulls of 2 females. One in her early 20s, the other close to 50. The site that they're looking at dates back to about 9,000 years, but the women are estimated to have died around 7,700 years ago. They were able to glean most from the middle-aged woman. Her DNA revealed she likely had brown eyes, thick, straight hair, almost certainly lacked the ability to tolerate lactose, but was unlikely to have suffered from alcohol flush, a skin reaction to alcohol, which is now very common across East Asia. Well, the Devil's Gate samples showed high genetic affinity to the Ulchi fishermen from the same area who speak Tungusic language. They are also close to other Tungusic-speaking populations in present-day China, such as the Orogen and Hezhen. Very interesting. Yeah. So this is very different than sort of the ancient peoples of Europe, where there was lots of turnover. Right? The hunter-gatherers completely got replaced by the farmers, and then people came in with horses and kind of changed that population again. There was a lot of turnover in this last 5,000 years, let alone 9,000. Very cool. So I guess we know what time it is now. Having come to the end of my segment and requiring a buffer music to enter into the next segment of the show.
It's time for Blair's Animal Corner.
She loves our creature, cried and small. Biped, millipede, no pet at all. Wanna hear about animals? She's your girl. Except for giant pandas and squirrels. Animal Corner.
What you got, Blair?
I have Pom Pom crabs.
I was hoping you would bring Pom Poms.
Oh my goodness.
Do you guys know about Pom Pom crabs?
I have no idea.
No, please
They're
tell
the
us.
greatest. They're teeny tiny little crabs, about 2 centimeters long, and they carry an anemone in each claw. They're called pom pom crabs or boxing crabs. We know anemones sting, so they defend themselves because they're so tiny. Their little claws probably can't do much, but they fend off predators with their anemones like little rah pom poms.
I wouldn't think that smacking somebody with an anemone would be.
An anemone is a cnidarian, like jellyfish, so they have stinging cells in them.
Oh, I see.
That's why if you ever touch an anemone, it feels like it sticks to your fingers. The stinging cells are small enough in an anemone that it doesn't actually hurt us, but that's how anemones catch their dinner. They actually paralyze fish in their tentacles and pull the fish in.
I see.
So for a little crab that might get eaten by little fish,
Rah, rah.
rah, rah, get the heck away. So I'm
So
here to
what
tell
happens
you.
to the anemones?
Anemones.
I guess.
The anemones. So
Anemones.
there's not a lot known about these crabs. They're called Libya crabs. There's not a lot known about them, mainly because they're very tiny. They're extremely hard to find because their camouflage is fantastic. And they're difficult to hold in a lab. There's all sorts of barriers to studying these guys. So even though they're actually pretty common in hobbyist aquariums, people like the way they look, there just hasn't been a whole lot of research on them. The most recent research actually found that the relationship between the two species was not as, let's say, symbiotic as they expected. They actually stunt the growth of the anemones.
Aha, that's what
We
I was
don't-
wondering.
We don't know if
Yeah.
that's intentional or not, but that's what they figured out in a previous study in 2013. This study was specifically looking at how they acquire those anemones. So this was a study published in Peer J, and it was from Yair IUPUI at Bar Ilan University in Israel. And they were looking at the specific types of anemones. They found that they belong to a genus Alicia. They think it might be a new species. And what's especially interesting is they pretty much couldn't find this species not attached to a crab. They couldn't
Huh.
find this anemone anywhere but in the hands of the crabs.
Huh.
The study found that these crabs, so I'm crab A, let's say I have my two anemones. Crab B doesn't have any anemones, comes, wrestles me. No, steals one of my anemones. So then we each have one anemone. And then I take my little crabby claw and I snip away at the anemone till I have two anemones.
Oh, nice.
And then within a few days, they essentially clone themselves. They regenerate. So they're two genetic clones of the same anemone. So in this way, two crabs end up with four anemones where only one crab had two, right?
Mm.
So they saw this in the lab. They had about 100 crabs, and they saw this time and time again in the lab. The way they then tested if this is actually what was happening in the wild, they went back out and they did genetic testing on the anemones in the
Aha.
claws crabs, and they found that they were all exact genetic clones in their claws. So even though there were variances from crab to crab, each crab had two of the exact same anemone.
They'd all been snipped in half.
They'd all been snipped in half. So they don't know, because again, they didn't find this anemone on the seafloor anywhere. So
who was the first crab
who
to
was?
grab an anemone? And then did the other crabs go, hey, that was a great idea. I'm going to steal your anemone. And did that become a crab behavior? I mean, is this something that was like a crab sweetly floating through the sea and decided to pick a sea anemone, and then it started the whole process? Or what happened? How did this come to be?
Right. So it's possible that this entire species of anemone only
Extinct other than-
lives
yeah.
in the claws of crabs. It's possible.
That's it. That's where they are now. The rest of them didn't make it. They just
Well,
happened to get
because-
lucky.
Some say that jellyfish, the close relative to anemones, are immortal because they can go through their life phases over and over and over, right? So it's possible that these anemones
too.
it's actually all from one ancestor that was grabbed up in the claws.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
so
just
this is
impressed with how many times you said anemones.
anemone.
It's almost like I used to work in an aquarium.
Anemones.
Anemone.
It's not an enemy. It's not your enemy. Your enemy is not an enemy.
Anemone.
Anemone. Your enemy is not an anemone.
Yeah,
Say
boxer
that
crabs. Let's talk
times
about
fast.
something much more horrifying.
Oh no.
Are you ready?
That's kind of amazing story already. but
Yeah,
okay.
no, I love the pom pom crabs.
That's
This
fantastic.
is terrifying. Are you ready for this? Hashtag nightmare juice.
No.
Deranged cannibal hamsters.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
The European hamster is a species that is quickly disappearing across Western Europe. It's critically endangered. Chrysetus chrysetus is this European hamster in France. And they have found a very weird phenomenon. The population is plummeting right around where there's a lot of agriculture. There's some sort of imbalance happening. So they were looking at what the hamsters were eating. They found something kind of interesting in the areas that were specifically growing a lot of corn. They took hamsters to test this theory. They took hamsters and they fed them different diets. The normal diet for a hamster, a little bit of grain, a little bit of roots, a little bit of vegetables, maybe even a little bit of insects, a nice balanced diet. But now they're concerned, University of Strasbourg and Mathilde Tissier was interested in looking at if it was the monotonous diet, if they were just eating a whole bunch of corn and this was causing essentially a population collapse. What they found was something much more disturbing than that. What they found was that when they were fed a corn-based diet, less pups were reaching weaning age. About 4/5 of pups born to mothers eating wheat and clover made it to weaning age. But when they were given just corn, only about 5% of baby hamsters made it to adulthood.
Why? Those poor little hamsters, were they
Why?
malnourished and they just didn't make it?
This is what was
happened?
happening. The
What
females
happened?
were not only not feeding their babies, they would
Mm.
move the babies and stored them with their hordes of maize and corn and then ate them
Dun,
Wow.
dun, dun.
while they were still alive.
Oh
well,
dear. That's
I would
horrible.
imagine.
Additionally, when the researchers would enter the room, these hamsters started climbing and pounding on the feeders. They had swollen dark tongues, and their blood was so thick, it was difficult for researchers to draw blood.
That sounds terrible.
It also sounded very familiar. It sounded like black tongue syndrome in dogs, also known as pellagra. In humans, it's known as 3D disease. The 3Ds are diarrhea, dementia, and dermatitis. This syndrome in humans has also been associated with higher rates of homicide, suicide, and cannibalism.
What?
In humans, yeah. And this is all due to a B3 deficiency.
Wow. Don't eat just corn, people.
Don't eat just corn. Put down the corn chips. This is what I had to do. I was reading the story. I was eating popcorn and I went, I'm good.
A diet of only popcorn, not so healthy for you. A diet of only corn chips, not so healthy for you. A diet of just corn on the cob, not so healthy for you. You will eventually start eating other people.
Yeah.
Or
True.
if you're a hamster, you'll start eating your babies. Oh my goodness.
Well, the 3Ds are worse enough. Diarrhea, dementia, and dermatitis.
Yeah.
We don't even need to get to the cannibalism. That's enough to be like, maybe eat a salad. But pellagra was actually a disease that wiped out about 3 million people in North America and Europe from the mid-18th to the mid-20th century. I'd never heard of this, but apparently it was a real thing. People are just eating too much corn. It was a vitamin B3 deficiency. So the way for them to finally test definitively if this is what was happening to the hamsters, they started feeding hamsters a B3 supplemented corn diet, and miraculously all of this stuff went away.
Nice.
So this is terrifying and crazy and interesting, but really the significance of this study reminds us how bad monoculture is. Monoculture is terrible.
It's where you grow
Only-
one crop
Mhm.
over very large swaths of land, and we do
Forever.
this. It's
Yeah.
industrial agriculture, and we do this in America. We've got huge corn fields.
Yeah,
across
because
the
if
states.
my
Well,
company's known for
but-
corn, I got to sell corn. So crop rotation is really important. This isn't the first time we've talked about this. And it's important for the health of the soil. It's important for the balance of the ecosystem, and now we've learned also it's important for the wild animals that live on the edges of the
Oh.
crops.
Gotcha.
Yes, because if
I
they're
was, like,
coming in
trying to
and they're
figure out where
eating
you're
it,
going with that. Like,
Oh yeah,
if
so
all
this
of a
all
sudden my cornflakes are made out of spinach, I'd be like, well, that's just weird.
So this
that they
is
would
this is
switch
coming
that,
back
but yeah.
around to the start of this study, which was because these European hamsters are critically endangered, and they found out there just weren't pups around, and it's
Yeah.
because that now they think it's because of this monoculture of corn. These wild hamsters are eating pretty much only corn, which is causing them to go crazy and eat their babies.
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, that would be really bad for a population. Yeah.
Aside from terrifying, not good for the ecosystem.
Oh, hamsters. Hopefully, yeah. I mean, aside from not just crop rotation, but also interspersing other plants within the
Yeah.
the crop, allowing certain weeds to pop up and to exist there.
Which helps your crops in the
Which
long
helps,
run.
yeah.
It maintains healthier soil, so you don't have to pay money for fertilizers that will help keep your soil where it needs to be. And it can help with pest regulation as well.
Maybe we should just spray fields with vitamin B3.
That could help in the
Spray
short run.
fields, right? Fascinating. Wow. Well, I hope everybody out there is eating a balanced diet. I mean, we're trying to bring you the balanced science diet here. Stay tuned for more. We've got some more stories coming up after the break. This is This Week in Science. Hey, everyone. Just want to say thank you for ordering all of our calendars. I have taken the link off of the website. We are sold out, and it's because of you. Thank you for ordering so many calendars, and I hope everybody enjoys them. Take a look at your calendar. Tomorrow's Groundhog Day. It says it on the calendar. It does. If you look at your calendar, you can see it right there. Also, if you're interested, you didn't have the time to get a TWIS calendar, but you want to help support TWIS and help keep us going, you know what you can do? You can head over to twis.org, because over at twis.org, we have a link to our Zazzle store. You can go to our Zazzle store, where you'll be able to find all sorts of neat TWIS products, from lumbar pillows with mammoths on them to polo shirts with the TWIS logo emblazoned on it. Or maybe you want a TWIS trucker hat, or wrapping paper. Yes, we've got so many great things. All of them, a portion of the proceeds, come back to This Week in Science. So you can show off your love for TWIS at the same time as you support us. Additionally, if you head back over to This Week in Science, you'll be able to find links to be able to just donate directly to the show. So we have a link along the right sidebar of the show where it says donate, and you can click right on that. twis.org, go to that donate link, click on it, and it'll allow you to donate using the PayPal interface, and you can choose your amount to donate once, twice, 3 times, however many times you want to donate. Those of you who have done this recently, thank you so much for donating. Really appreciate your support. Also, we have our link to Patreon. Patreon, you click on the Patreon link, that'll take you right on over to the Patreon page where you can choose to pledge your support. Become a patron of the TWIS program, bringing everybody science curiosity week after week after week. Click on the pledge button, and that'll allow you to choose the reward level at which you would like to pledge. There are many levels you can pledge. Patreon, it's a really wonderful way to get involved in the TWIS community. The way that you can find all of these things, really easy website to remember, TWIS, TWIS, This Week in Science, TWIS.org. It's twis.org, twis.org. And while you're there, you can also listen to lots of past episodes if you haven't done that. The show notes are there too. Lots of show notes for you. That's pretty cool. But, if you are unable to provide any financial assistance to keep this show going, we can always use your help just telling people about TWIS. I mean, seriously, you tell 2 people, maybe those people tell 2 people, and the audience grows, the minion army grows. We've got science minions all over the world, and it's because of your help. If you help the show grow, it's only going to help us keep it going and get better and better and better. Help be a producer by producing some more minions. You can do that. We thank you for all your help, whatever form it was in. Thank you for all your support. We could not do this show without you.
Skeptic, yeah. I can't believe you believe in that plan. We disagree, but I still give a damn. Your astral projections are coming along. Your chakra and chi are both growing real strong. Your cold disappeared after just 9 short days, all thanks to the words on the whole earth displays. Now due to the juices and pills and the creams, your body's lost toxins, whatever that means. You've stopped eating all of that sinister food. Your dinner tastes awful, so it's gotta be good.
And we're back with more This Week in Science.
Booyah. We got lots of science.
Ooh.
Justin, it's your turn. What you got?
There was once a vibrant Native American agrarian culture that lived in the urban settlements from the Ohio River Valley to the Mississippi River Valley. This was at a time dating back for what would it be now? 1300 years. This was huge population. Going back in time, this was one of the largest population centers on the planet Earth, one of the largest sort of connected civilizations on the planet at the time. But it vanished. Poof, gone. And not due to, but before the European invasion. New study, researchers reconstructed and analyzed 2,100 years of temperature and precipitation data. And it's pointing a finger now at climate change is the culprit for the disappearance. So this was a farming culture, agrarian, right? They grew crops, they shared crops. What's called urban settlements is sort of lots of little groupings of villages that were connected through roads, and they traded with each other, and they had a very complex society with lots of art and that sort of thing. But they did not have irrigation. They relied on the rain for their crops. So they looked through and they looked at proxies of prehistoric temperature and precipitation that was preserved finally in layered lake sediments, which is, you can sort of look at, you can go down to a bottom of a lake that hasn't been disturbed and check out the soil layers over time. And it can give you a very good idea of things like precipitation and climate and what was going on as those layers of sediment drifted to the bottom and formed the bottom of the lake. It's sort of like looking at tree rings in a way, but you can, if you have a well-preserved lake, you can actually go back well, you're stuck with the age of a tree when it comes to trees. But with lakes, you can sometimes, in this case, they went back about 2,100 years. They found that there was abrupt climate change that took place. From the lake records, we saw that abundant rainfall and consistent good weather supported Mississippian society as it grew, changed, and at some point making the agriculture therefore unstable. So you would have these dry periods, and a dry period, really, if you're relying on your crops you're relying on rainfall for your crops, one season of bad, of drought, or a couple seasons, or what we just went through in California, would have been enough to devastate a culture. Says this is researcher's name is Bird on this. He's saying archaeologists have recognized that from 1300 onward, Mississippian villages started disappearing one after the other, almost like light bulbs in a string. But the question has always been why. Actually, this is Dr. Wilson. Dr. Bird and his students have shown that the lake sediment evidence during the period known as the Little Ice Age from 1300 to 1800, there's a profound change in climate to the colder and drier conditions, and would have negatively impacted the growing of maize around the Mississippian villages, which is also sort of interesting, that they maybe part of it, maybe he didn't hear the last story, maybe a good, maybe a good part of the, maybe it was partly climate change. Maybe it was too much corn. Like that could have also contributed on some level, perhaps. But yeah, they're saying important for us to understand how past civilizations coped with climate change as we encounter things like changing precipitation patterns and temperatures that appear to be rising around the world today. Yeah. So there was, as the culture waned, researchers found there were lower temperatures, it got colder, significantly less summer rainfall during the rise of the culture. And they attributed this to more El Nino-like conditions in the Pacific Ocean and cooling during the Little Ice Age, which altered atmospheric circulation such that moisture delivered to the Midwest was derived from the northwestern U.S. instead of the Gulf of Mexico, and was the case during the Mississippian's rise. And the longer transport distance of Pacific air masses during the Little Ice Age left less moisture available for rainfall in the Midwest, resulting in drought conditions that undermined agricultural production.
Yeah, and the big point here is how reliant is agriculture, corn farming specifically in the Midwest today, on rainfall versus irrigation. How the Dust Bowl decimated agricultural practices through the Midwest, but how is this area, this Mississippi, this Ohio River Valley, Mississippi River Valley now going to be
so you would
affected by drought?
You would think that in this modern age, irrigation infrastructure is how we farm the Midwest. But as it turns out, it kind of just relies on rainfall.
So all this corn that we like for our tortillas and tortilla chips, say adios.
Yeah, silver lining of global warming, less corn production, lower rates of cannibalism in the U.S.
Less of the 3Ds.
Less
also.
of the 3Ds. Yeah, less 3D. Absolutely. Oh, good gracious. I've got a story about the love hormone.
Oh,
Yeah, you guys remember oxytocin?
of course.
The
Good old
love-
Oxy.
The love hormone. Well, oxytocin has a lot more function rather than just bonding and bringing humans together in intimate relationships. It's also involved in water balance, and it's closely related to another molecule called vasopressin, which also acts as a hormone in the body. Anyway, researchers have been trying to figure out. So pregnant women, sometimes they birth their children prematurely, and we don't really understand what happens in the musculature to lead to the contractions that lead to premature birth of children. Part of it is a change in oxytocin and vasopressin levels that lead to those contractions where that labor's coming, contractions are happening. This is an oxytocin-led thing. So researchers have been kind of looking for something that could work in combination with oxytocin and vasopressin and possibly act as an inhibitor for vasopressin. Because if you could block the action of these molecules that are affecting water balance and also blood supply and contractility of the uterus, maybe it would stop these contractions from taking place and stop a lot of premature births. So maybe if you could block it, but we don't have a blocker. We don't have a really good way to block just this vasopressin or to block something very specifically. So these researchers are like, yeah, let's not look at vasopressin itself. Let's go back 600 million years through evolution and look at another form of a similar molecule to oxytocin, which is actually called inotocin, and it's found in insects. Insects have love hormone also.
Insects need love too.
Yes.
Maybe that's why chocolate makes people feel like they're
And so
feel love. There's so many bits of insects that fall in at the front.
Little insects in the chocolate. That's right. So these researchers in Vienna were able to isolate this inotocin from ants. They got this neuropeptide from ants. It's really closely, very similar to oxytocin, very closely related to this vasopressin. They slightly modified it chemically. They're like, oh, look, we've got this molecule. Let's just change it up a little bit. And they were able to create a stable, highly selective inhibitor of the human vasopressin V1A receptor. So basically, it's highly selective, meaning that it really only connects to this vasopressin V1A receptor and inhibits it. It blocks the effects that this receptor would normally have. So if normal vasopressin comes along and wants to start contractions in the uterine wall, it can't, because there's a key in the lock is broken, right? The receptor won't open. So they tested it on human uterine tissue and it effectively inhibited muscular contractions. And so now they're wondering, can we develop this? And will it be something that we can use clinically to stop this kind of stuff from happening? Could it also be used? They're also thinking it could be used because vasopressin is involved in brain and cardiovascular system. Maybe it could be used to treat anxiety, aggression, depression, congestive heart failure, stroke, menstrual pain.
Bug juice.
Maybe there are also kidney issues, water retention issues.
Give me that bug juice. Give me it.
Give me the bug. Give me that love hormone from the bugs. That's what I want. Could solve a whole lot of problems. Maybe. We'll see.
Give me the juice.
Give me that 600 million year old juice from the bugs. From the love bugs.
Yep.
Justin, do you have another story?
I do. Let's see. Where did I put this here? Putting it into the there we go. This is okay, so art is old, and we keep finding evidence of it further and further back we go. This is an international team of anthropologists. They've uncovered a 38,000-year-old engraved image in southwestern France in a French rock shelter. This is now some of the earliest known graphic imagery found in Western Eurasia. And they're saying this can offer some insight into the peoples who made it. The discovery sheds new light on regional patterning of art and ornamentation across Europe at a time when the first modern humans to enter Europe dispersed westward and northward across the continent, explains NYU anthropologist Randall White, who's also the leader of the excavation efforts in France. The findings appear in the journal Quarterly International, and it's the Center in Early Modern Human Origination Culture. Origination culture existed approximately 43,000 to 33,000 years ago. So these are really some of the This is pretty early into the into Europe, folks. I guess these must be the hunter gatherers that got replaced. So these aren't the people who are there now. These aren't the ancestors of modern Europeans, but they likely would have. These are people who likely would have lived concurrent with Neanderthals in some of these regions. Aubrey Blanchard, the French site, recently uncovering engraving a slab bearing a complex image of a wild cow surrounded by rows of dots, was excavated early in the 20th century, but the White and his team members began their methodical exploration of remaining deposits at the site in 2011, with this discovery initially occurring in 2012. He contends that Aurignacian art offers a window into the lives and minds of its makers and into the society that they created. Following their arrival from Africa, groups of modern humans settled into Western and Central Europe, showing broad commonality in their graphic expression, against which more recognized characters did stand out. This pattern fits well within the social geography models that see art and personal ornamentation as markers of social identity at regional, group, and individual levels. They also found some other stuff there as well. Human artifacts bearing symbolism. Hundreds of personal ornaments that included pierced animal teeth, pierced shells, ivory, soapstone beads, engravings, and paintings on limestone slabs. So art, it's a thing people been really into for a long time.
Yeah, and if they actually found like ivory, and then they're definitely trading with other areas.
Not necessarily, right? Because
France?
huh? Well, I mean, when exactly did the last mammoth or mastodon leave Europe?
Oh, I guess I wouldn't have considered that. Yeah, maybe. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
I'm trying to see a cow on this rock.
It's because you're colorblind.
No, I guess
it's all the same color.
It's the back, right? And then on the right side, there's horns. I guess I can kind of see it.
Correct.
And then, I was thinking about Lascaux, because that was the kind of the early cave paintings that everyone always thinks about in France, especially. And I thought it was way older than they are. I just looked it up. They're 17,000 years before Common Era. It's not that long ago. I thought those were way older than that. And that blows that out of the water.
Yeah. Yeah, 38,000 years old. That's some pretty ancient art right there.
So I guess I can cut it some slack for not looking super like.
Well, we're also missing the bottom of it. We're missing the legs. Like there was probably more of it at some point.
Yeah, no, I'm being silly, but definitely.
But I wonder if those dots were like patternation of like what they were seeing. Like what did the wild cow look like 38,000 years ago in Asia?
Well, clearly it was polka dotted.
Yeah, it was bad polka dots.
Yeah.
It was a spot. It was like a leopard zebra cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, with there's obviously been some erosion.
Yeah.
Over 38,000 years.
Oh my gosh, 38,000 years later, and there's still a critic on my piece?
Critic, that's
Somebody's still criticizing my piece? 38,000 years this lasted.
Oh my goodness. Something else that has been going on for a long time is communication, right? We've got bacteria communicating with each other, creating these big communities. We got to learn more about how they communicate with each other, right? One reason is, can we disrupt that communication and maybe mess up their communities and, maybe get rid of microbial mats that cause infection hazards for humans, cause disease hazards for people? This would be something good to know. Can we benefit their communication to get them to grow more in situations where we'd love them to grow more? There's a lot we don't understand. Bacteria have been communicating together for a very long time. So some researchers at the University of Trento in Italy and the Institute for Bioscience and Biotechnology Research at the University of Maryland have created artificial cells to communicate with bacteria. Artificial cells. These are cells, little, not complete cells, not like here's a fake bacterium, but it's like missing some stuff. But basically, they were able to create this little artificial cell, synthetic cell that, and as they introduce it, they say artificial cells are encapsulated chemical systems that mimic cellular life. Most attempts at making artificial cells have focused on building some type of self-replicating system. Although self-replication is an important feature of life as we know it, self-replication alone is insufficient criterion for assessing how lifelike a chemical system is. And so what they did is they mimicked cellular life to see if they could get it to communicate with bacteria. Could they get a cell, a fake cell, to sense bacterial chemicals and synthesize these quorum signaling molecules, these molecules that at a certain level get bacteria to change their behavior? And they did. So they were able to get these artificial cells to communicate chemically with bacteria called V. fischeri, V. harveyi, E. coli, and P. aeruginosa. They assess their activity by fluorescence, luminescence, a lot of other things, RNA sequencing. And they explain that they basically tried to imitate natural cells by a kind of cellular Turing test. You know, the Turing test? Can a robot or an AI system fool a human into thinking it's a human? This was for bacteria. Could they get their artificial cell to get the bacteria to think it was a real bacteria?
That's funny.
Yeah, so I like that they described it in an analogy to the Turing test. So they were synthesizing, these cells were synthesizing and releasing a compound called N3-oxohexanoyl homoserine lactone. And this chemical had a high degree of likeness to natural V. fischeri under test simulations. And so they were really able to get this thing to sense V. fischeri and in response degrade a quorum signaling molecule of P. aeruginosa. Yeah. So anyway, this lays the basis for communicating with bacteria in the future. In the future, we will not speak to aliens. We will speak to bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really cool.
We're doomed.
We're doomed. No, this will keep us from being doomed. We need to be able to talk to the bacteria to be able to work with them.
But what if they start talking back?
No back talk. No bacterial smack talk. I'm not going to accept that. Blair, you had a couple of stories.
Oh, I just had one left. I'm saving another one for next week.
Okay.
This one, I get to act out a second crazy animal tonight. We're going to talk about jumping spiders, you guys.
Your favorite.
Oh, jumping spiders. What makes them special? They have a dance that they do. And that dance.
Different species have different dances.
That's right.
Yes.
And that dance they use to woo female spiders. There are a couple groups of these jumping spiders that on top of their fancy dance have quite the spectacular coloration. There is, of course, the peacock spider in Australia, and there's lots of subspecies of that. There's the skeletor and the sparkle muffin, and we've talked all about those. And then there are jumping spiders in North America that also have bright coloration. What researchers from University of Pittsburgh and UC's Department of Biology looked at was how exactly can spiders see these colors? Because normally spiders can only see drab, greens and browns and blacks.
Poor spiders not being able to see the full color of the world.
I wonder what that must be like.
I wonder.
Anyway, researchers wanted to see how this was happening, because if all other spiders, and there are lots of spiders on the planet, but as far as we can tell, they can't really see these bright colors. So how do they use these bright colors? They can't have them unless the females can see them. Why would they have them otherwise? So how can they see these colors? The long and short of it is that these two groups do it completely different. Habernatus from North and Central America and Miratus, the peacock spiders from Australia, do it completely different. One of them actually have a red filter. Habernatus, the North and Central American, they have a red filter over their normal photoreceptors to create a third type of photoreceptor cell, which is predominantly sensitive to red light. So it's kind of like you add different lenses over a light and you mix two to make another color, right? Miratus, the peacock spider, uses no filters at all, but has two additional types of photoreceptors just innately in their eyeballs. One is blue sensitive and one is red sensitive, which is why those spiders have even more vibrant colorations. The North and Central American ones, they'll have them mostly on their pedipalps, their front legs, and then the peacock spiders are the ones that have the flip up bit that is quite vibrant. So all of those, what that tells us is a couple of things. One, these are not related elements, and these two groups, these two genuses of these spiders are not very related. They liken it to them being as related to each other as we are related to hyenas. So they're not super duper related. They're all in the jumping spider family, but family is pretty far up on the scale of genetics. So that's definitely, in terms of the family tree of spiders, they're not super closely related. So it's not surprising that they're so different and that this is in fact a convergent trait. What makes it especially interesting is that the researchers who looked at this have reason to believe, it's very interesting to me, that they may use colors and color reception as a sexual selection technique now, but the researchers believe that actually the sophisticated color vision came from wanting to forage more effectively.
Oh, to be able to find other insects that stand out from the greenery.
Yes, and also avoid the most dangerous
ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely. So they think that this is kind of an interesting coincidence that both of these genuses found this ability to use colorful sexual selection as a result of a trait they gained for foraging. Now, the video that we're watching, I've actually watched this entire video. Shocking. It's 6 minutes long. He goes through quite a lot here, but he's on the whole, spoiler alert, unsuccessful. Yeah. Poor guy. He really dances his heart out.
He's a cute one with red and green and some orange in there.
Is he? He looks brown to me.
He's got some pretty colors, Blair. If you can't see them, there's
this whole time
his legs that he's holding up are green, nice green legs, and he's got a red face.
Oh, I swear to you guys,
darker eyes.
This
And
whole
you need to get
time,
those filters
and
over
his
your
back
eyes.
whole time.
His middle legs that he's lifting up, the outer edges are kind of green, but the
Oh my gosh.
bent hinge, like his knee, or his
yellowy
knuckle,
orange.
is yellowy orange. Yeah.
So this whole time I was like, oh, I wonder why they didn't pick one of the colorful groups for their video. Why did they pick a jumping spider that dances that doesn't have colors? This whole article is about the colorful species.
It's just the colors you can't see.
I'm sure they're real pretty.
They are.
Oh, shucks. Oh, well.
Oh my gosh,
And on that note,
that
I'm
is pretty
done.
promising. On that note, we will end the spider color vision because
Shucks.
Blair obviously does not have these modifications.
No, I don't have photoreceptors or a new filter.
No photoreceptors, no new filter, not at all. But you know
Darn.
what we're going to look at now? We're going to talk a little bit about the newest bat on the block. I mean, the newest bot on the block is Batbot. See if I can. Batbot.
Is it like this guy?
What? Which guy? No,
This
doesn't look
Batman?
like
Robotic Batman.
doesn't look like a Batman wearing a duck inflatable. Nope. We're talking about bats, like bats that fly through the sky
Uh-huh.
at night. And these bats that fly through the sky at night, they've got these beautiful long limbs, the bones that have membranous skin between the different parts of the wings to allow flight. And there are many, many joints, over 40 joints in the wings. And so they've been modeling it. And they've created a flying robot that's not heavy, 93 grams, and it can fly. So maybe it can fly like with the drones. I don't know. But so the video right now is demonstrating that this bat can flap its wings and fly straight. It can also dive, and it can make banking turns. That's what's being demonstrated at the moment.
The fact that they're having it fly over like a large amount of netting,
Just
sort
to
of like
catch it so it doesn't break
like you
when
might
it hits the
expect
ground.
from what you might expect from somebody doing a high wire act. It's only flying over that. It may not have perfected landing.
It has not
It's just
perfected landing, and that's you caught one of the main points. It has not perfected landing at this point. That's something that they'll have to work on. But this is have you ever played with those wind up birds with the wings that flap? They're like toys
Yeah.
for kids, and they have a piece of very light plastic film that covers the wing, and you wind it up and the wings beat and you throw it and it's able to fly.
Yeah.
A bit. This is kind of expanding on that idea, studying how the bat's wings actually are manipulated to allow different kinds of flight, different maneuvers in flight, because bats are incredibly maneuverable.
Yeah, and that's actually sort of what's really impressive about this to me is that the amount of articulation in that wing, more so than like some of the other bird representations that we've seen, which were also extremely impressive. It's just sort of like standard flapping of wings. It's just taking place in bird models, but the articulations within that bird wing and that bat wing and some of the maneuvering that they're getting out of it's pretty awesome.
It's very awesome. And so, more study to find out more about how the bat wing works. And maybe this will be complementary to, like I said, the drones in the sky being able to maybe, I don't know, probably going to end up being like the next DARPA tool, actually. The bats there with their camera eyes and recording things, having night vision, doing recordings from the sky on the wing. Anyway, that's going into a dystopian view of the world in the future. What I'd like to end,
that's what's doing it.
I'd like to end on a
that's what's doing the dystopian view of the future.
Just sprinkling corn everywhere.
Grown bats.
It's a bat sprinkling corn all over the place. That's right. Okay. Positive note for the end. Those of you who are interested in supporting science as this country moves forward, a date has been set for the March for Science on Washington, D.C. It is set for April 22nd. It's not on our calendar, but if you do have a TWIS calendar, you can write it on there if you are interested. Put it on there. They have a website. They have a Twitter account and a public Facebook page if you are interested in looking for March for Science. These are people not marching for scientists. This is not, hey, scientists are marching in the streets. No, this is for evidence-based reasoning. This is for science, the process that allows us to have one of the least biased views of the world
Also,
That's
all
possible.
medicine. So there's
All
that.
medicine is underpinned. All
Also,
technology is underpinned
Yes.
by
Also,
science.
Also, it's not in March. It's going to be in April.
It's going to be in
Oh,
April.
you
Thank
guys,
very
you know what
much.
April 22nd is? It's the perfect day for the Science March because that's Earth Day.
Earth Day, and so much about the Earth and what we're learning about science. Science is unraveling the mysteries of the Earth for us. So there is a march on Washington, D.C., but there will be marches across the country and potentially around the world in addition. And if you are interested in finding out if there is a march near you, you can look for information, look for March for Science on your web browser. Search for March for Science and go to their website, go to their Facebook page, Twitter, find out if someone's organizing one near you. If nobody is and you'd like to, you can sign up to organize one yourself. Yeah, this is This Week in Science. Have we done it? Have we reached the end of the show?
I think we did it.
I think we have.
I think we have come to the end of our show. This is one of the most exciting moments because every time we come to the end of the show, I read the names of the patrons, and I'm going to try to read the names of the patrons once again. What you can too, because we now have a video that allows you to watch it. Thank you so much to our Patreon sponsors. I'd like to thank Chris Clark, Paul Disney, G. Burton Lattimore, John Ratnaswamy, Richard Onimus, Byron Lee, E.O., Jared Lisette, Kevin Parachan, Andy Groh, Keith Corsell, Jake Jones, Gerald Sorrells, Ulysses Adkins, Derek Nickel, Dave Friedel, James Randall, Eric Schwab, Bob Calder, Mark Mazzaros, Edward Dyer, Trainer 84, Brian Hedrick, Layla Marshall Clark, Charlene Henry, Larry Garcia, Randy Mazuka, Tony Steele, Gerald Onyago, Steve DeBell, Ksenia Volkova, Daryl, Harun Sarang, Melissa Mosley, Alex Wilson, Jason Schneiderman, Greg Guthman, Dave Neighbor, Jason Dozier, Matthew Litwin, Eric Knapp, Jason Roberts, Richard Porter, Rodney, David Wiley, Robert Aston, Aurora Lee, Bill Kersey, Ben Rothig, Darwood Hannon, Rudy Garcia, Nick Abassi, Felix Alvarez, Cosmic Gypsy, Brian Hohen, Orly Radio, Brian Condren, Mark, Nathan Greco, Hexator, Deborah Smith, Mick Schneeves, Flying Out, John Crocker, Christopher Dreyer, Sylvan Westby, Artyom Shuwata, Dave Wilkinson, Steve Mashinsky, Rick Ramus, Gary Swinsberg, Phil Nibidoe, Braxton Howard, Salga DeSam, Matt Sutter, Emma Grenier, Philip Shane, James Dobson, Kurt Larson, Stefan Insom, Michael George, Russell Jensen, Mountain Sloth, Jim Trapo, John Maloney, Jason Olds, James Paul West, Alec Doty, Illuma Lama, Joe Wheeler, Dougal Campbell, Craig Porter, Adam Mishkan, Aaron Luthen, Marjorie Paul Stanton, David Summerly, Tyler Harrison, and Columbo Ahmed. Thank you for all your support on Patreon. And if you are interested in finding out how to support us on Patreon, you can find information at patreon.com/thisweekinscience. And remember that you can also help us out simply by telling your friends about TWIS. It is that easy. On next week's show, we'll be back once again to talk science and inspire science curiosity in more people. Broadcasting live online at 8 p.m. Pacific time on twis.org/live. You can watch and join our chat room, but don't worry if you can't make it. We're out there. Past episodes at twis.org/YouTube, or just go to twis.org.
Thank you for enjoying the show. TWIS is available also, of course, as a podcast. Just Google This Week in Science in your iTunes directory. Or if you have a mobile type device, you can look for TWIS, the number 4 Droid app in the Android marketplace, or simply This Week in Science in anything Apple marketplacey.
For more information on anything you've heard here today, show notes will be available on our website. That's at www.twis.org.
What?
That's www.twis.org, where you can also make comments and start conversations with the hosts as well as other listeners.
Or you can contact us directly. Email Kirsten at thisweekinscience.com, Justin at twistminion@gmail.com, or Blair at blairbaz@twis.org. Just be sure to put TWIS, TWIS, somewhere in the subject line, or your email will be spam filtered into oblivion. You can also hit us up on the Twitter, where we are at TWIS Science, at Dr. Kiki, at Jacksonfly, and at Blair's Menagerie. We love your feedback. If there's a topic you would like us to cover or address, a suggestion for an interview, a haiku that comes to you in the night, please let us know.
We will be back here next week, and we hope you'll join us again for more great science news.
And if you've learned anything from the show, remember,
It's all in your head.
This week in science. This week in science. This week in science. This week in science, it's the end of the world. So I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna sell my advice. Show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand. And all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. This week's science is coming your way. So everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth. And I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got one disclaimer and it shouldn't be news. That what I say may not represent your views, but I've done the calculations and I've got a plan. If you listen to the science, you may just better understand that we're not trying to threaten your philosophy. We're just trying to save the world from jeopardy. And This Week in Science is coming your way. So everybody listen to everything we say. And if you use our method instead of rolling a die, we may rid the world of toxoplasma gondii. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got a laundry list of items I want to address. From stopping global hunger to dredging Loch Ness. I'm trying to promote more rational thought. And I'll try to answer any question you've got. But how can I ever see the changes I seek when I can only set up shop 1 hour a week? This Week in Science is coming your way. You better just listen to what we say. And if you learned anything from the words that we said, then please just remember it's all in your head. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in 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 Science.
Cheer, cheer, here, here.
That was boxing.
We got science. You're boxing with pom poms now.
They're called pom pom crabs. They're also called boxing crabs because they go
Boxing
like
crab.
with
Little
the
boxing,
anemones.
little boxing crabs with their pom pom,
Yeah.
the anemone pom poms.
Ha, ha, ha.
I got a pom pom for you, right in your kisser.
Right in the kisser.
kisser. Yeah, I have pom poms. I have shiny golden blue pom poms. I have non-shiny plastic pom poms. I have lots of pom poms and a cheerleading uniform.
I don't.
True.
I was in the band.
I was in the band too. I did all of the things that were not, I tried so hard. I was like, I'm going to do cheerleading. I'm going to do band. I'm going to do choir. I'm going to do drama. I'm going to do school yearbook. Man, high school. I did it all.
I was just in a million zillion bands.
Oh yeah, we had two. We had marching band and concert band.
We had concert band, jazz band. We had the pep band. So that was like marching band, but we just sat in the stands. And then and then I was in a community music center jazz band, and I was in a funk band.
Ooh,
All at the same time.
we got the funk. Yeah, yeah, we got the funk. Oh, we got the funk. That's the one I like the best.
Mhm.
Little bit of funk. Ed, I can still fit into my cheerleading outfit. I wear it as a Halloween costume or to costume parties now on occasion.
That's great.
Have I told you my favorite use of the cheerleading costume? I put a pillow under the belly
Whoa.
Oh, that's great.
and went as a pregnant cheerleader.
Oh, nice.
That was a fun one. It's like, hey.
Making fun of adolescent pregnancies.
Yeah, you know it. Tasteless
pregnancy.
Halloween costumes.
goodness.
101.
Nicely done.
Oh my goodness.
Excellent.
What is the picture that has been shown? What is strength? What is this picture? Oh dear. Whoa. There's so much there. Yeah, I need to turn that off.
Uh-oh.
Today I went on so we were talking earlier, we brought up kind of the curiosity about stuff and propensity for falling for fake news and alternative facts and lies. But I've been finding, the last 3 days, right? Or been trying very hard to keep up with what's going on. Trying very hard to keep up. I'm finding it really very difficult. I mean, I'm skeptical. I'm trained in science. I look for evidence, right? Try to look for the hard evidence and what's actually happening. And I don't know what the hell is going on. I know the actions that have been taken. I know what, but I'm trying to figure out the underlying story. And that's where I have not gotten yet. So
Yeah.
yes, Dictel, this is the shock and awe phase. Exactly.
Yeah, it is. So it is. There is a lot of, the amount of things going on, as it were, so rapidly without discussion. I mean, it's being done without discussion amongst the people who usually have quite a bit of input on making a decision, right? The actions are being taken without experts who have had a chance to vet any of these moves. So of course, there's not a whole lot of there because there hasn't been discussion of what the results of any of it would be. What you're looking at though is fundamentally a viewpoint of one person who, from the news that they've read, think that they've got the world figured out to the point where they can make these, take these drastic actions. And again, because there's no conversation about it, we don't know if there is a desired result, right? Or just these are all knee-jerk reactions to something somebody has seen in the news or a story that they once heard. It's all absolutely ridiculous and preposterous, and shouldn't be able to. None of this should be going on. Frankly, you have within this country, we have created a system. Our forefathers were brilliant. They created a multi-headed system of government that by its nature was a slow-moving bureaucracy. And the power of that is always been that you can't take a drastic departure from the fundamentals of what this country are or what this country has agreed upon in a short period of time without a good fight of words about it. But because the houses of government have all fallen under one party that has been operating regardless of regardless of having taken a look at anything deeply, has been trained and working under the impulse that being lockstep and party loyalty is above all other concerns. And so this is the result you get. This is the exact opposite result that the forefathers wanted. They tried to create a government that prevented this sort of stuff from taking place so quickly, without fight, without argument, without conversation. And because we have one party rule at the moment, it's as if it were, one party rule versus being under the throes of a monarchy or something of this nature, or even closely assemblage to a dictatorship, isn't that far off. So there needs to be what's taking place. And I've been very proud of my fellow Americans in every protest, in every march, and every show of force, and in the state of California, in which I was born into and raised, has been signaling that it's going to be putting up quite a fight against the federal policies. And now, it'll be the Democrats' turn to take up state rights to go up against things that they see on the federal level is unfair.
The one thing that is bothering me most on both sides is the name calling and the outright aggression. I mean, I will say there were 2 protests here in Portland. One on Friday night to protest Trump, and it was a protest against Trump. And people came out with black hoodied sweatshirts, hiding their faces with baseball bats and lead pipes, and were stopping traffic, and were aggressive, and were basically there to cause trouble. And I've been seeing that kind of activity online as well, and with people just, yes, you're outraged, you're angry, things didn't go your way, but being mean to their quote unquote, nope, I'm not done yet. Being mean to their quote unquote social media neighbors, it's going both ways in that sense. But then on Saturday was the Women's March.
Mm-hmm.
Completely peaceful, no aggression, no arrests, nothing, it was that way almost everywhere. And so I just it was a stark juxtaposition of the 2 ways that we can choose to be. And I would like to implore people who are watching this show right now to choose to be better, to not name call. You can be angry. You can still fight with words. You can still be strong in your position. But name calling takes you down to the basest common denominator, and you need to be better than that.
It's fair.
Okay. There's that side of that argument.
Oh, jeez.
Well, there's the other side of the argument, which is the policies that are quickly being instituted, bandied about. Some of them actually are in play. They're hurting people.
Yes, and calling people names is not going to get anything done any faster. Calling your neighbor some terrible name is not going to fix things, is not going to make things any better. It's going to make the situation worse. You are not going to be able to have decent discourse with your neighbors who maybe don't share the same view as you. The minute you start attacking, the minute you start name calling, you lose all chance of conversation.
Okay, but you're talking about I'm not talking about yes, be nice to your neighbor. Don't do that.
Be nice online. Like somebody asked a question. My cousin posted something. Somebody made a snarky comment from a conservative perspective related to what my cousin wrote, and then somebody else jumped. And my cousin, he gets impassioned about things, but started kind of having an impassioned discussion with this guy back and forth, and then somebody else jumped in and just started name calling, mean names, just completely just like pushing it just derailed any discussion, as impassioned as it was, from taking place. We don't need that.
Yeah, and that's not what I was, of course, talking about.
Okay, I'm glad that that's what I wanted. This is what I was talking about. This is what I was bringing up.
Yeah, but on the campus of Berkeley tonight, Somebody from Breitbart who has openly been name calling towards, the LGBT community and mocking the Women's March and been a name calling, and whose former boss is now basically the man behind the curtain at the White House, was going to give one of his alt-right speeches at Berkeley, and they shut it down. And it was the protesters took the barricades that were around where the speech was going to be given, where people are supposed to line up and walk through them. They took them and they threw them through the windows of the student assembly office building, whatever it was. And that's something I do support. I mean, there's a point where you're giving.
No.
You're giving. Look, you've got to stop giving the platform to the people who are just doing the name calling and the belittling and targeting individuals, Americans, targeting Muslims, targeting LGBT community. And you have to, I think, aggressively take a stance on it and say, not in my community. And so I'm very proud of what took place in Berkeley tonight.
I can say, yes, you protest, you take a stand, you blockade a door so that nobody can get in. You don't destroy property.
If it comes to that, yeah.
Why start a fire? Why burn things? Why break windows? No, you're destroying your own community.
Well, I'm not saying burn your community down, but I'm saying, I disagree that you need to give voice to all of these haters out there.
And this guy who's been going
targeting our fellow Americans. And then now in the halls of power, they're banning people from allies from coming in, to this country. We're at a point where we do need to make I think
there need a little bit more forceful. There need to be statements made. There needs to be continued pressure on the politicians to listen and to maybe moderate their decisions, as opposed to just going down the partisan path, right? And then, yes, people I don't understand why these events, UC Davis, the event got shut down, where this guy was going to speak. I don't understand why university campuses are, allowing these. I mean, it's free speech. Groups can bring whomever to speak. It's free speech.
Absolutely.
But, you protest these people. You try and,
and it's not that you're protesting them. You're protesting the message that they've been delivering that targets Americans, and tries to separate us from each other. This is.
And this guy is a fomenter of hate.
Mm-hmm.
He is not a good person. Oh my gosh, he's written a couple of articles recently, just specifically that are he's one of the pro men promoters, for what do they call it online? The community?
Men's rights.
Men's rights. Yeah, he's a men's rights promoter. And so he wrote an article arguing that since women spend less time in their careers, because of things like having children and maybe family issues, that we shouldn't be investing the money into educating women for degrees like medicine, being doctors, lawyers, business professionals, that we should and also in the article, it's like women have said it themselves that they just can't take the cutthroat environment of the intellectual environment. So,
oh boy,
and then he just came out and said he's making a scholarship for men, white men.
Oh, good, because they need a leg up.
White
college
scholarship.
Right.
I mean, he is a troll, and he's looking for attention. That's all he's doing.
Right, and has no place at a university.
And he's British on top of it. He's not even an American citizen, and these people are like, yay, you're amazing.
Get him now out of here. Yeah, not in my backyard. And there's a little bit of that somebody's mentioning civil disobedience, yes, but don't destroy property. Well, the thing is, though, like there were protests for protesting during Black Lives Matter, for instance, where freeways were stopped or highways were stopped. Is that destruction of property? Well, that's destruction.
No, that's not destruction of property. That is
those people probably went to jail a lot longer than somebody who broke a window. That's all I'm saying.
But what I'm gonna an example that I'm gonna bring up. So it was a window at UC Berkeley, right? Windows at UC Berkeley. UC Berkeley is, corporate in a sense because it's a giant governmental institution with money that can replace the windows, right? It's not going to impact the running of the ship long term to break a few windows, say at UC Berkeley. But here in Portland, there are a lot of angry people in Portland. I think there was a protest months back in which people went downtown and they rioted and they broke windows and they did almost $1 million worth of damage, and that has to be coughed up by the business owners. I mean, that is directly affecting. I mean, there's some small cafes, restaurants, people who you don't know whether they're just barely breaking even to be able to maintain that restaurant space. We don't know. These were not big businesses. These were, some of the windows were independent local business owners who then had to suffer the consequences, increased insurance rates if their insurance covered it. If their insurance didn't cover it, they had to cover the costs of the damage to their building. It's not okay. It's not okay to riot and to break windows and to do damage to public to property. It's not okay. Even public property. That's your city. That's your community. You're going to have to pay for it. Disrupt things. Yes. Civil disobedience. Fine. But stop breaking stuff. That's not cool.
I've never understood that.
Real people suffer the consequences of that. The cost of, if your car gets, exactly, Fat is saying, what about cars? They took baseball bats to random people's cars. I mean, people had to repair their cars. I mean, it's just not okay.
Yeah, that's just vandalism. I agree.
Yeah, it is vandalism. It's vandalism to throw things through a window on the UC Berkeley campus too.
Throwing the barricades through the window to shut down an event when that's what your goal is, to shut down the event. I probably wouldn't have done it, but then I might have. I can't really say. Like that.
Why not chain yourself to the doors?
Look. This is going to be this is what we're seing is week one. Okay, people. This is week one. This is week one.
I am more on the side of the pacifists. I think nonviolent protest is the best way.
I agree.
Martin Luther King was on my side.
Yeah.
You're gonna pull that card.
And he was very successful.
I totally agree with you, but I also think that there's going to have to be a strong message sent by the peoples of California that none of this is acceptable here. None of this belongs here. And what you're seeing is a lot of really angry people who aren't going to allow hate speech to take place in this state. We're going to fight.
Yeah. Dicktel is saying we're debating tactics, which we are. We are debating tactics. And he says the fundamental question is who gets a forum and to use a university resource. And in the end, I mean, it depends. Is the university private, public? Is it, are universities bastions of free speech? It's a big question there.
Yeah, absolutely they are. Hate speech is not free speech.
Yeah.
You don't give somebody a platform based on the awful things they've said about people.
Yeah.
That's I mean, we got one as president now, but that's not somebody I would allow to have a forum in my town.
I don't want him to, but this is the same argument people have been having about the KKK marching and having forums various places. I mean, this is a conversation about about the First Amendment that's been going on for a very long time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean,
is it public? Is it private? Universities, really, except for like UC Berkeley. That's
freedom
public,
of speech.
a public university.
Look, hate speech falls into a category where you're talking about a type of speech that in its message wants to deny a constitutional right to another American.
But then there's also there's the question of, is it inciting? Are these people inciting action? And you don't. That is not legal.
Absolutely, it is.
Not
That's what hate speech is. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
Anyway,
I'm gonna go out, smash a couple windows.
of course
before I
you
go to bed. I like to get that in right before bedtime. Helps me sleep a little sounder.
Before you go, I want to screen share with everyone what I just did.
What'd you do?
There's
been quiet in this whole conversation.
I've
I
been
usually keep my
quiet.
mouth shut on all this stuff, but there's stuff that's been upsetting me.
I was just talking to someone today about this. About last week, I found myself unintentionally giving so much emotional time, energy, and power to certain things that are at this point mostly outside of my control.
Mm-hmm.
And so this week, I challenged myself to only go on social media once a day. I've been trying to limit it to like a half an hour once a day of just scrolling. I can go on and do direct things, but in terms of scrolling through and reading bait and getting upset, it was something that I was doing a lot. And I'm not any good to myself, to my job, to my loved ones, to people that I want to give myself to, if I let myself be consumed by this troublesome things. These troublesome things. So I'm trying to walk the fine line of staying aware and acting when I can while not falling into a terrible pit of despair. That being said, this is what I just did. I'm going to screen share. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Or maybe I'm not allowed to screen share in Google anymore. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Gosh, this has taken a million years. Okay. Can you see? Okay.
Yeah.
I made a Nautilus mouse pad. I made a banana slug pillow.
Nice.
I
We already had
fixed-
the lumbar pillow.
Yeah, so I
fixed it?
fixed the mammoth pillow. It was white on the back before, but now it's
Ugh.
black on the back. That's better. And then I added a grizzly bear pillow.
Cool.
So
New items.
just to start,
New items.
and it looks like right now there's 40% off mugs, pillows, and more site-wide. So that's good to know. So tell your friends, buy everyone a pillow. In these dark times, we could all use a pillow.
We could all use a pillow, a little lumbar support pillow. When
We
you're
could all use a
working.
little
Just
support, you guys.
put it behind your spine.
Why not make it from a
looks
banana
nice.
slug or a grizzly bear or a
I
mammoth?
really do like the mammoth. But the banana slug and the bear, little sleeping grizzly, I like that
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Let's see what's going on. We haven't signed any contracts or anything. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I have email confirmation that we will be going to Philadelphia in June.
I need the dates for that ASAP.
Philadelphia live show. Anybody in Philly in the audience right now?
Holy smokes.
P-Town.
When are we going? When is it? Uh-oh. We need to move some things around.
Yes. Yeah. So it is the what is it? The Young Innovators Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And the Young Innovators Festival is a kids K through 12 super STEM interactive event.
Uh-huh.
And it is going to be June 10th and 11th.
What day are we presenting
2017.
on? Do you know?
Both days. We are going to have a stage where we will be able to live podcast all day,
All
What?
day long.
both days.
Dear God. Oh, heck no.
It's gonna be
TWIS Mageddon 2017, folks.
That's right. 2 days of live podcasting. Of course, we can take breaks in there, but the idea is that we will have 2 days at this festival talking science with people from the Philly area. Doing
Okay, so
interviews.
what days do I need off of work? This is what I have to find out right now.
Probably
So I need the 10th and the 11th, and then what? 1 day on either side? How many days?
1 day on either side. Yeah. I don't
Okay.
know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Possibly. I don't know. I mean, or even just, I don't know, leave after on the Sunday at the end.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll figure it all out.
Okay.
The timing of it and how it'll all work.
I'll
but
tentatively
yeah.
take some extra days. We'll see. I just have to. I had planned a teen volunteer party for the 10th several months ago. I know, but before that. So like almost a year ago. And then after you gave me the date, I went to my calendar and I was like, oh no. But I think I might be able to move it. If I can't move it, I think they can do it without me. So
Yeah.
Philly I'll be there. Freaking regardless.
Oak Andy is from PA. If you find yourself near there.
My mom's from Philly.
It's not going to be 48 hours of science, Hot Rod. It's not going to be
It's be the hours of the festival, right?
Days. It'll be the hours of the festival.
What are the hours of the festival? Like 10 to 4 or something?
Yeah, and we will be able to delineate, when we're on stage, and we can work it out.
We'll get pee breaks, right?
We'll get pee breaks. We won't have to worry about.
Do I need to bring some science experiments?
We could do science experiments. I mean, it's a kids festival, so I mean, we could.
Because I got those.
I'm gonna bring. Oh, did I bring that upstairs? You guys, I was gonna bring this to San Francisco, but I got this.
Yes.
I got the Mevo camera, which live streams to Facebook.
That's great.
Immediately. So I'll set this up so we can live stream directly. Look at this. Oh, it's a cute little camera. It's a little 4K camera.
Nice.
And we can hook it into the soundboard probably. And we'll figure it all out. But it's like this little tiny camera, so I won't have to bring like a giant camera rig. And they're going to set us up with microphones and stuff. And so then we'll probably just do a little line out to either an iPad or an iPhone.
Do they know who we are?
Mm-hmm.
How did they know about us?
Well, this is a wonderful story. My high school friend works for them doing PR and marketing. And she was like, I know Dr. Kiki, and she does this show, This Week in Science. And she set up a phone call. And then I talked with them, and then we just kept talking, and I guess they liked what they heard.
Nice.
Yeah.
See? It's who you know, guys. It's who you know.
Yeah, Twit Refugee, I got to figure out how the internet will be handled. I have asked that question. I haven't gotten an answer yet. I got 5 months to figure that out. So
By then, Philadelphia should have internet.
right.
I don't really know. I know nothing about Philadelphia. Other
I'll
than
try it
like Rocky, I think is from there.
Yeah. So it wasn't my phone. It was an iPad that we used for Periscope. but we did use my Periscope account from Twitter at SF Sketchfest. That worked. And Fada, he downloaded the Periscope file and then uploaded it to YouTube for us. So that's how that's up there now, which is pretty awesome. It's all good.
Yes.
Yeah. So technology. We will figure it all out. We'll make it happen.
I'm gonna do a whole bunch of shuffling
We'll make it
tomorrow on
so-
my team
we'll make it
party.
so.
It's gonna be great. I'm gonna move it.
You better move it.
I'm moving it. And either I'm moving it or my intern
right.
is throwing a party without me.
That's right.
Monk's Cafe. We must make note of Monk's Cafe.
Are you looking at Philly? Is that what you're looking up?
But
Yeah.
Dicktail, I can
Pliny
get
the-
Pliny the Elder here.
Yeah, we can get it here, but we're gonna be there.
I literally went to school right there.
She went to school with Pliny.
I did. Pliny and I are old like sorority buddies. Did you know that Pliny's a woman?
Yes. Oh, Pliny. Monk's Cafe in Philly. Nice. We will check it out. Yeah, you should be jealous of Blair. Everyone should be jealous of Blair.
I mean, there's so many reasons.
I mean, it's like
For-
everybody's like,
For example,
Blair's life.
my anemones.
So awesome.
You know you want my anemones, but you can't
Blair's
steal them.
life. It's full of pom poms.
Boxing gloves,
pom
pom-poms.
anemones, and they'll sting you.
Twit refugee, why you gotta make this an argument? Who says Pliny the Elder's a man? I need empirical evidence. Get Russian River Brewing on the phone. Then I will believe you.
Yeah, we need to make all sorts of plans. I need a camping spot for us to go to for the eclipse in August.
When is that?
The August eclipse? The 22nd?
Okay, so I need to get that off too.
August 22nd, something like that. You got to put that on the calendar. Because, I mean, seriously, we have to. Oh, is that my calendar? That is the calendar yet. February, March, April, May, August. No, it's not on this calendar. It's
Okay. Both of those are on there.
I think you put the eclipse on the TWIS calendar.
I have no idea. Oh, I have one. There.
I have some in very crinkly cellophane.
We're
but-
technically
that's
sold out.
Fantastic news.
We're technically
Yeah.
sold out, but I have one still if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area and you want it.
Or if you're in Philadelphia and don't mind.
Ooh, I'd
only
love to
getting
come to
half use out of it.
Austin. PCAR 928 fan. I'd love to go to Austin and do a live show.
Yeah, let's
Never
go.
been to Austin. I
Figure out how we can
many
go
a
there,
time I would
yo.
like it. How to
Do you
go
know?
to
Do you know
there.
people who can buy us plane tickets and stuff?
Yeah, can we get in South by Southwest or something? The total solar eclipse is on the 21st on our calendar.
Rob the Invisible. I'm totally staying in Oregon for the eclipse, but I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to be camping for it because, I mean, I could be in my house, but it would be so much nicer to be out camping to see the eclipse. So, I'm thinking of going just north of Redmond, might be. I have your calendar in crinkly cellophane, Fada, right next to me. It's right here.
All right.
I promise.
I have to go. I have to go.
You should
Justin has to go.
I gotta go. I
I have to
gotta.
get you and Patrick your calendars.
I got a thing I gotta be at in 5 minutes ago.
Got an appointment with a diaper? No.
No, no.
Yes, the Bend area, Rob. Yes, Bend
right,
area.
but,
That's what I'm thinking. Although Salem would be nice
What's
too.
funny is I was like looking at luggage today with my daughter, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I something like this for next time I take a trip. So I might go back. Have to go back and get it at some point. All right. Good night, everybody.
Hi,
Good night,
Justin.
minions. Good night, Kiki. Good night, Blair. I'll see you all
night.
next week.
Next
Yeah.
week on This Week in Science.
That's funny.
Is it?
Mhm. South by Southwest. That would be fun.
When is that?
I don't know. I stopped paying attention to South by Southwest, which is
Hi.
60,000 people descending on Salem. Where are all these people coming from? Because there are going to be 60,000 people near Bend, and there are going to be 60,000 people in Idaho. And there's
It's
gonna
in
be
March.
there's no camping spots.
South by Southwest is in March. So
Yeah, they do for South by Southwest for panels. They have the panel picker that's usually sometime around June, May or June, I think, that they start taking proposals. I always miss the date, so I haven't been back to South by Southwest in many a year. Kind of okay with that, right? Twit refugee, South by Southwest is passe. I've done that. Now it's
What?
just like a big old frat party.
What? How about for those of us that haven't been in South by Southwest?
It's just a big old frat party. I mean, it's like Burning Man. It's so over.
Are you saying Burning Man is over right now? My head might explode.
I tell you, WTF is where it's at now. That's what I'm doing.
What, the festival?
What the festival?
Is that in Portland?
It's outside of Portland, about hour and a half, 2 hours.
Let's get in that.
We probably could. I know the people who run it, so
Well, I just said it was about who you know.
it's all about who you know. Yeah, and yes, I don't want to go to Austin any later than March. It's too hot there.
Okay,
ISX.
but I do want to go to Austin. That sounds great. What the festival is the Premier Boutique Festival.
Premiere, yes. It's
What does that
fantastic.
even mean?
It's so great.
What is a boutique festival?
It means that it's not huge and it's just really cool. Yeah, I don't know, like a boutique festival. You could put it on a little truck. No. Last year, oh my gosh, they had Thievery Corporation as one of the headliners at WTF. The entire band was there. And it was the most amazing show. It was so good. So good. Oh, Thievery Corporation. And Bonobo. Bonobo was really good too. Some good stuff. Can't wait to find out who's going to be the main acts this year. Can't wait. Well, Fada, this is like, it's Oregon, it's Portland. So it's, like artisanal. It's like an artisanal festival.
Yes, crap on Etsy. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I like Etsy.
Wait, what? In Austin, it was 81 degrees today. It's going to be like 25 degrees tomorrow. Which I know is not as cold as some other places that people live who are in our audience.
There's
It's gonna
supposed to be
exciting.
water falling from the sky here tomorrow.
Yeah, you're going to get water falling from the sky.
Yeah.
We get snow. We're
Oh,
gonna have-
what's snow?
We're going to have snow and ice storms.
What's
Yay.
that?
Oh my God. I didn't know what they were until I moved here. Why did I move here? This winter
Why
has been
indeed.
insane. Oh my God. I was not coming from Central California. I was not Central Northern California. I was really, I've been to Tahoe to go skiing. It's fun. Very snow bunny-ish. But yeah. Place that snows. I did not sign up to live in a place that snows. I'm like, wow, this is too cold.
Whoopsie.
Yeah.
Look what happened. It's snowing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah, locally sourced, gluten-free science. What? Yet no, not 25 degrees Celsius, 25 degrees Fahrenheit, because I'm from California originally, now living in Oregon, and now what is this weather?
From warm California too. Like real warm.
Yeah, Eric and AK, you're coming in May. Awesome. I hope that the weather's nice by May. I mean, one of the big things about the weather here this year is that it at least is like, it's not just, it hasn't been constant gray. It's nice. We have a little storm and then it's a little sun and it's varied. It's just been cold. I'm tired of the cold. Yes, Kai and I are looking forward to the Lego Batman movie, Twit Refugee.
I'm so
I
excited. When does that come out?
So excited.
This weekend, right?
Does it come out? Does it come out already?
Yeah, I think it comes
No.
out. Maybe next
I
weekend.
was expecting it to come out over the summer. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's really soon.
Yeah, it's much better to have the Lego Batman movie come out over the Oscars weekend than Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah.
I bet that was their logic.
Huh.
Yeah. Rob, the Invisible, you know what I'm saying. You know. What photo did you put up there? Is this like one of your high school band photos?
Yeah. Because they were asking what I played. And I decided a picture would be worth more than.
That's brilliant. Yes.
That's actually college, that picture.
College.
Young college Blair.
No, Blair's young. That was not decades ago. That was maybe a decade. One decade.
That was in roughly that was 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Yes, when Fada played the alto sax in high school. Maybe that was decades ago. We'll just say it was a decade
and
ago.
here's me, not with the saxophone, but this was my jazz band outfit in high school.
Nice. I note that you're not screen sharing these.
Nope.
To be up forever. Yeah, Rourke's, this weather is unusual for Portland. It's not supposed to be like this.
Oh yeah, and this one. Oh my god, I found some really
nice
good ones.
Batman tie.
Yeah, speaking of Batman.
Nice.
I will screen share this one because it's pretty great.
Oh, these are in Facebook, so if you're not in Facebook,
they're in the Facebook.
you'll be able to see them.
So this is
oh, I like bread.
This is me in the school newspaper as a senior in high school.
Nice.
Yeah. Senior Blair Bazdarich blasts smooth jazz tunes from her saxophone, along with other members of the jazz band during mods 16 and 17 on Monday, April 25th in the Carol Channing Theater. The performance showcased several pieces that the jazz band performed at the spring band concert on Wednesday, April 27th. There we go. That's from The Lowell.
I love that. Oh my god.
There you go.
I love it. Oh, the old pictures. It's all so good. Yeah. Gotta keep mine hidden forever.
I feel like I've come so far. It's worth having them visible.
Yeah. My dad loves, he still has like my high school, he has my high school cheerleading photo and my senior photo in his wallet still.
Oh my gosh.
And
my parents have my senior photo around.
Embarrass me. He's like,
oh man.
Have you seen my daughter?
Oh god.
Oh my god. Oh dad. Oh dad. You're funny. Ugh. Okay. I think maybe I'm hitting my wall now.
Yes.
10:30 action here in the Portland, Oregon.
It's sleepy time.
Sleepy time, and maybe time to crawl into a nice warm bed. Get some shut-eye so that I'm not cranky tomorrow. Because what did we learn last week on TWIS?
That sleep's important, but now I can't remember why. Oh, memory. That's right.
Memory.
I actually didn't do that on purpose. I was talking to someone today about how shift work destroys your telomeres. Remember when we talked about that?
Yes, I did. But if you don't get proper REM sleep, you won't remember things or learn things as well. So you need to do that. And also, sleep is just really good for your overall mood. At least it is for mine. If I don't get enough sleep, I am sad, Kiki. Unhappy, Kiki. Not sad, just unhappy.
I'm definitely irritable if
Yeah.
I don't sleep well. I'm like, I have a very short fuse. Yeah, I don't sleep. So instead of typing this, Fada, the reason, so I added some pillows, right? But the reason we can't do Etsy is that you have to create your own merchandise on
actually make
Etsy.
them.
Like I would have to make the pillows, buy them in bulk, store them in my house, and then ship them out as people buy them.
And we could call them artisanal.
Yes, artisanal or boutique.
Boutique artisanal
Whoa.
lumbar pillows.
But on the lovely Zazzle, they create them as they're purchased.
That's right. They make
So we don't have to put forward the capital for things and then only sell one pillow a year and then I go bankrupt.
strengths. Oh my God, you're hilarious. You're right. That would be a lot worse.
Oh my.
Yeah, that would, yep, nope.
Kiki's not a cougar yet. Are you kidding me?
I probably am almost old enough to
No.
qualify. Yeah. I could have a 20-year-old boyfriend.
Yeah, but that
Good.
I don't think you're a cougar yet.
Okay.
I think cougars have like grown children. like teenage.
No, or dogs. Cougars have chihuahuas.
Yeah, that's also true. But I think
Kitteny
also they're
hoos.
like cougars are supposed to be like, ooh, at least late 50s. So that was
Late
my
50s,
understanding
oh.
of what a cougar is. But I thought, yeah, cougars like have empty nest syndrome, and so they get a young boyfriend or something like that.
I used to really enjoy Courtney Cox's program,
Cougarton?
Town.
Cougarton.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I really enjoyed that show. It was very funny. Very funny. Yeah. Dick Taylor, you getting enough sleep? You got to remember things. Yeah, Rob the Invisible. It's why you can't remember things. You got to sleep, people. You got to sleep. And now we are learning from Hot Rod why you don't stay logged into Facebook. Wow, they can track your really if you're logged into Facebook, can they track your internet usage on other tabs within the browser?
I thought Google did that, and then
I mean, Google Chrome, like
yeah,
I use
yeah,
browser,
and
they
then
totally
and
track
then
it.
like algorithms take that to post ads on Facebook. I thought it was the other way. I didn't think Facebook watched.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I hope not.
I need a citation. Citation needed.
Citation needed. I need evidence, please.
I'm thinking scientifically, and I need evidence. Is there a
And-
peer-reviewed article about this?
And real evidence, please, not evidence that'll just make me sad.
Someone showed me an article the other day that they found on Facebook. A friend of theirs shared it, of course, and all I had to do was read the main title and then see the pictures under the caption, and I was like, that's fake. It was micro, what's it called when the Zika gives you a tiny head? Microcephaly.
Cephaly.
Microcephaly, and confirmed to be from, what was it? From pesticides, not Zika virus. And it had a picture of like crop dusting as chemtrails. And then of course it was on some website that it was like, know the real facts and do your own and know your own truth.com or something like that. Like it was clearly somebody's like blog.
Yeah,
And it was just it was a picture of a newborn baby, which I don't even think had microcephaly. I think it was a premature baby. And then it had a picture of crop dusting, and I was just like, that's fake. So
that's too much.
Yeah.
Too much. Oh my God. Yeah. No, thank you. No, thank you. That's when you're like, okay, smack my head. Nope. Cougar, according to Urban Dictionary, all of the definitions have been written by men.
Great. Good start.
Good start.
So far, off to a great start.
Yeah. So, first one, top definition: an older woman who frequents clubs in order to score with a much younger man. The cougar can be anyone from an overly surgically altered wind tunnel victim to an absolute sad and bloated old hornmeister to a real hottie or MILF. Cougars are gaining in popularity, particularly the true hotties, as young men find not only a sexual high, but many times a chick with her stuff together.
Oh boy.
Number 2 definition says a 35-plus-year-old female who's on the hunt.
35?
Yeah.
That is way off.
You're almost there, Blair.
You shut your dirty mouth.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this one says an
boy.
attractive woman in her 30s or 40s who's on the hunt once again.
No way.
Yeah. Another one here says an older, quote unquote, experienced woman.
Wow, I really thought cougars were 50s and 60s.
Oh, here, definition number 5. We get down to definition number 5 where it says usually in her 40s or 50s.
Huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah. The final definition: an older woman who is past her prime and who is attracted to younger men, often as an act of desperation or as a last resort.
Oh
No.
How about we're just all people?
Yeah. Eric, yeah. This makes us all feel really old.
God,
No.
I'm almost a cougar. Get the heck out of town. I almost swore real bad, and I stopped myself. I'm really proud of myself. I'm standing like Captain Morgan now because I'm real proud that I did not. Woo!
Oh yeah, Rob the Invisible. I saw that passage. Totally could relate to Blair Bass. The cougar can frequently be seen in a padded bra, cleavage exposed, propped up against a swanky bar in San Francisco, waiting, watching, calculating, gearing up to sink her claws into an innocent young and strapping buck who happens to cross her path.
Oh boy.
Yeah, 35 is the new 55. Faux show. Oh my goodness. Yeah, right. It's great. Men can write everything about women because they're making all our reproductive choices now too. Right, Fada? Exactly.
true.
Yeah, that's great.
We'll just be here
We'll just be here, you know.
to bear children because apparently that's what we're for.
That's it. That's all I'm good for. That's what I've learned. My many years of extensive study in the sciences and communication arts. I'm just good for making a pie. Yeah, Serena Williams, she is fantastic. She's one of those women who are out there breaking barriers, and she is amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And if you have not seen Hidden Figures yet, by all means, get your butts to the theater or, wait until it comes out on iTunes or Amazon or whatever. But oh my goodness. Hidden Figures, mind-blowing movie. Just amazing. Amazing
That's
acting,
great.
Brilliant story, and just a jaw-dropping story with if you are not aware of some of the things that women of color went through, even working at NASA. It's
based on a book, right?
Based on a true story.
Right, but the movie came
Based
after
on
the book.
Hidden Figures, the book came first, and the movie came second. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, there's a book you can read, but this is a true story, and oh my goodness, so good.
I can't wait.
I cried multiple times during it. Was just so it was moving, emotionally moving. But it's a happy story. It's a great ending. So it's not like
That's good.
it's not a movie that's going to be like a downer. This is an uplifting movie about change. Yeah. Right, Fada? It's great. Oh, after I can't bear children anymore, that's when I'm good for sinking claws into strapping young bucks. Oh, okay. It's good to have that
Mhm.
delineated.
I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Bear, claws.
Arr.
Uh,
Yeah. Whiskey Renegade, something I don't know. There probably are Alzheimer's sleep studies, but I'm going to, I don't know. I do know that people with Alzheimer's and dementia do not sleep as much. They have disrupted sleep cycles. Yeah.
Checks out. Forget that you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. All right, you
Okay.
guys. Time to go. Time for us to do it. Move on up. Get
Move
that
on
actual
up.
sleep that we were discussing and then
Yes.
got distracted from
Yep.
and into a whole giant conversation about all sorts of things.
hmm
Yeah. Flush out those toxins during sleep. So maybe I'll
Indeed.
go have a whiskey and then it'll flush out those toxins while I sleep. All right, you guys. Thank you for watching tonight. Really appreciate your company. Really appreciate your attention to the science and for joining us for TWIS. Hey, Blair, thanks for your pom poms.
Happy to oblige.
Pom pom. Pom 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 pom. Pom pom.
Anemone.
Anemone. Anemones are not your enemy.
That's right.
My enemy is not an anemone.
I live in an anemone.
Seriously, everybody right now, you need to try saying it 3 times fast. You're going to mess up. You cannot. My enemy is not my anemone. My enemy
Anemone.
is not my
Anemone.
anemone. My
Anemone.
enemy is not my anemone.
Anemone.
We'll be back with more science next week. Good night, Kiki.
Good night, Blair.
Good night, minions. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned for science.